is now in session. The Honorable Matthew T. Rothy presiding.
Okay, please be seated. Thanks for waiting. Got caught up in my other job. Call the court to order at this time. Actually, silence all cell phones. I don't see anybody wearing any hats. Call the court to order at this time. My name is Matt Rothy. I'm the judge for the multi-jurisdictional court of Stoughton. That covers the city of Stoughton, towns of Dunkirk, Pleasant Springs, and Rutland. I'd like to go through some of the procedures we follow here in the courtroom. These procedures should be available to you in the pamphlet as you enter the courtroom. We take people on a first-come, first-served basis. When your case is called, please come forward. We take pleas tonight. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. If you enter a no contest or guilty plea, I'll review your citation. If there's a factual basis, I'll accept your plea and find you guilty. And impose an appropriate forfeiture. A plea of no contest is similar to a guilty plea, but a conviction arising out of a no contest plea cannot be used against you in a subsequent hearing. Let me put that into more plain language. Say if you're involved in a traffic accident and you receive a citation, if you enter a no contest plea to that citation, the person can't use that no contest against you if you get sued later by that same person. A forfeiture ranges from $20 to $1,000. However, almost all are within the $50 to $200 range. The state mandates that we add costs to your fine. For example, a $50 forfeiture results in a total fine of $124. The other $64 goes to various, or $74 goes to various jail and crime lab, other traffic enforcement classes. It gets put into a lot of buckets, so that's how your $50 turns into $124. I'll grant you 30 days to pay the forfeiture. If you need additional time, please let me know. I have limited options to collect if you don't pay. I can suspend your driver's license for a year. I can have your payment go to tax intercept. I can probably try and, the tax intercept could do wage garnishment. I'd rather not do any of that. If you need more time to pay, just let me know, and I'm happy to accept the payment plan. If you enter a not guilty plea, we'll set your case over to trial for the next court session for pretrial conference with the city attorney. That date is April 11th, at which time both you and the city attorney will meet to see if you can resolve your case. Those of you who are facing traffic offenses should understand you lose demerit points upon most convictions of the traffic offenses. If you lose 12 or more points within 1 year, you lose your license to drive in Wisconsin for a certain period of time. You'll also be fined. I'd like you to be aware of some of your rights while entering your plea. You have the right to ask for a continuance. You can ask that the case be set over to consult with a lawyer or for some other reason. This is a civil court. You're not entitled to a public defender, but you may hire an attorney at your own cost. You also have a right to a trial. Please remember your rights when considering your plea. Any OWIs? Okay, no OWIs. Okay, that concludes my opening remarks. At this point, I'll take the people the first come, first served basis. The first person that signed up was Barrett Mason Spahn. If you want to step forward to the microphone. Mr. Spahn, do I have your correct address on 12 and 18 in Cottage Grove?
You do.
Okay. You've recited for retail theft. Mm-hmm. That citation carries a penalty of $187. For retail theft for under $500. In addition, I can order that you pay restitution. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't need me to explain what restitution is?
No, I do not.
Okay. You understand what retail theft is?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions regarding the fine or restitution?
I do not have any.
Okay. Now's the time I take your plea. I was going to say your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
I was just going to say no contest.
No contest?
Yeah.
All right. You want to say that again?
No contest.
All right. Let me review the police report. I want to make sure there's a factual basis for your plea.
Of course.
Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea, and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
Nope.
All right. In reviewing this police report, I'm not going to order restitution. This was for the Walmart, and they handle their own restitution, so you might be getting the separate action for that. But I will note that it was a no contest plea. So no order restitution. I do find $187 to be an appropriate forfeiture for this. How much time do you need to pay?
If I could have 2 months. that would
Okay,
be-
I'll give you 60 days.
All right.
And then make sure that you pay, because otherwise I have to, I can't suspend your driver's license, but I can have your tax intercept. So, okay, given that, the bailiff will give you a form in just a second, but while we're waiting for that, what did you learn?
Not to steal, ever.
Okay. Why is that?
Because it's wrong and just leads to worse consequences.
Okay. And how come you did it?
I don't know, I wanted what I took, I guess.
Okay. I mean, because you seem like you're already ahead of the game. You already know what restitution is. You're already actually able to understand most of what I'm saying. So just a little surprised, but just be aware that, not just a fine, but if this happens again, you might be sentenced as a criminal in
Yes,
a
sir.
criminal court, so which is a lot more serious than this court then.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Gloria Eddy. Miss Eddy, do I have your correct address and Esquire Drive in Stoughton?
Yep.
All right. You received a citation for failure to yield right-of-way from a stop sign. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 40 merit points issued to your driver's license. Sure. There's a forfeiture range on these failure to yield citations. You're at $30 plus cost. Just so you're aware, the range on this is as follows. In other words, there could be the fine of this, but this is the suggested amount. It's called the bond amount. The forfeiture range on this failure to yield is $20 to $50. Sure, not quite at the minimum, but close. You understand what failure to yield the right-of-way from stop sign is?
Yep.
All right. In addition, the state passed a new law a couple months ago that if you're convicted of any type of failure to yield, there's additional penalties if anybody was hurt, bodily harm, great bodily harm, or death. But your fine's low enough where I assume that didn't happen. But I just want you to be aware that there's there could be suspensions and increased fines. And in addition, anytime when you are convicted of or found guilty of a right-of-way failure to yield, a right-of-way course must be completed through the DOT within 6 months, or your operating privileges will be suspended. Do you understand that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so is that a yes?
Yes.
You have to kind of answer my question. We're creating a
All right.
record. So if I make a mistake and you want to appeal me, it helps to have a clear record then.
Okay.
Okay. So you understand that if you're found guilty of this right-of-way violation, you have to take a class to the DOT?
Yes.
All right. Okay, any questions regarding the points and the forfeiture?
Nope.
Any questions for me at all?
Nope.
All right, now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty?
Okay, you understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
That also means that you would be you'll have to take a class to the right-of-way class to the Department of Transportation?
Yes.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, except your guilty plea, and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
Nope.
Okay. How come you appeared tonight?
To plead guilty and get my fine and such.
Okay. It's because normally it's not a mandatory appearance.
Yeah.
So usually people show up, they want to contest the forfeiture or the points, but it doesn't seem like you just want it to be over. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Is that a yes? Okay. All right. I do find a factual basis for your plea. I'll accept your guilty plea and find you guilty. I do find the $98.80 is appropriate, and I'll go ahead and find you that amount. How much time do you need to pay?
I can pay today.
Okay. I'll give you 30 days, but you can take the form downstairs to the dispatch window and just make payment right at the dispatch window right now.
Okay.
Okay. What did you learn?
I learned to remember to yield.
Okay. just, probably, and it seems like this is an accident, but just be mindful of where stop signs are.
Yep.
Okay. With no further questions, I'll take care of it this evening then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Nancy Slaughter? Ms. Slaughter, I have your correct address in Sweeney Road in Edgerton?
Yes.
All right. Been cited for operating after suspension. The citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Do you understand what operating after suspension is?
Yes.
All right. Do you understand that it's a 3-point violation as well?
Yes.
And let me check the forfeiture range on this. You're at $50 plus cost. The forfeiture range is $50 to $200. So you're at the minimum forfeiture as well. Any questions regarding this citation?
It was 3 years ago that I got the first ticket for the accident, and I didn't really know my license was suspended.
How about this? If you didn't know, is your license currently suspended?
No, I reinstated it after he gave me the ticket.
Okay, here's what I like to do, what I think that you should do. I can't amend from the bench, but it'd be a good opportunity for you to discuss this matter with the city attorney.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll enter a not guilty plea.
Okay.
We'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference. What was the date? April 11th.
Okay.
The pretrial conference is held downstairs through the second set of doors. There'll be a conference room marked Pretrial Conferences.
Okay.
Chance to tell your side of the story. So bring your updated registration. I'm sure the city attorney would be very interested in that.
Okay.
So make sure that I always advise people to go take a look at the room before they leave, because that's the way they know where it is. Because if you don't show up, the city attorney will tell me that you didn't show up. I'll find you guilty, or I'll find you default, and I'll find you guilty then.
Okay.
So, and it will, what time is it?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. on April 11th.
Okay.
And once you receive that, they'll take care of it this evening then.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Amy Mueller? Did I say your name correctly, Ms. Mueller?
Yes, you did.
Do I have your correct address on Harrison Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You've been cited for, failure to stop for a school bus. This citation carries a penalty of $250 and 4 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Do you understand what failure to stop for a school bus is?
I do.
All right.
Yes.
Let's see, the forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. So you're at about $170 range. So you're about right in the midpoint for the violation. The bond amount is higher on this one than most other citations that we see. So any questions regarding the points and the forfeiture?
Yeah, the points. I noticed there was a four points.
Right, and I can't amend from the bench I can for speeding. I worked out an agreement with the city attorney.
Okay.
But for these, I really can't. So if you're interested in the points, discussing the points, what I would recommend is you enter a not guilty plea and meet with the city attorney in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
All right. So again, pretrial conferences will be held downstairs. And be through the second set of doors, a conference room marked on the left. It will say pretrial conference on it. What I always advise people is go take a look at it before you leave the building. That way you know where it is.
Okay.
And then make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, the city attorney will tell me that you didn't appear. I'll find you defaults and I'll find you guilty of that.
I don't need that.
Right. So, any questions for me?
No.
All right. When the bailiff gives you the pretrial conference notice for April 11th, that will take care of it for this
Okay.
evening.
And then for the fine, you
You haven't been found guilty yet. You don't have to pay any fine.
Okay.
Not until you're found guilty. then,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Michael Crawford. Mr. Crawford, do I have your correct address on Main Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You've been cited for disorderly conduct with a motor vehicle. That citation carries a penalty of $124. The forfeiture range on this is $20 to $1,000. You're at $50 plus costs. You're close to the minimum, but not quite. And it's also 0 demerit points issued to your driver's license. It's a local citation that does not get reported to the DMV. Any question, do you have any questions regarding what disorderly conduct with a motor vehicle is?
I've never had one before, no.
Do you want me to read the statutes to you so you understand what it is?
Sure.
All right. It's a violation of 50-8. And ordinances are basically the local rules that the city council adopts. Okay, 50-8 says the following. Disorderly conduct with a motor vehicle. Prohibited. Section A, prohibited. No person shall cause or provoke disorderly conduct with a motor vehicle causing a disturbance or annoy one or more persons within the city by use of a motor vehicle, including but not limited to an automobile, truck, motorcycle, mini bike, or snowmobile. You understand that?
Yes.
All right. Okay, you have any questions regarding this citation?
No.
All right, now's the time I take your plea. Your three plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay, with not guilty plea, we'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference with the city attorney. We'll schedule that for April 11th. I always tell people the pretrial conference will be held downstairs through the second set of doors. On your left, there'll be a conference room marked pretrial conferences. I always advise people to go take a look at the room before they leave the courthouse. That way they know where it is. Make sure that it's a chance to tell your side of the story, so bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case. It's basically a chance to see if you and the city can resolve this citation. And then make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty and impose an appropriate forfeiture then.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for me? All right. The bailiff, once the bailiff gives you the pretrial conference notice, that will take care of it for this evening. Catherine Eileen Purchase.
That's me.
All right.
Last. Wait, I've heard you say the spiel a few times now, so maybe I can spare you. I'm going to do a not guilty, sir.
Sure. All
And
right.
yes, I know what speeding is, but I don't have any speeding tickets until this one.
Okay. I will go ahead and enter a not guilty plea for you.
Yes,
what kind of dog
please.
is that?
He's a Malamute.
Okay. He's beautiful.
Thank you.
So, all right, we'll enter a not guilty plea. We'll
I
schedule.
have to go downstairs. I
Yep.
have to look at the double doors on the left. I have to tell the attorney my side of the story at 5 p.m. on April 1st or 11th. Did I get that right?
Be 4:45. Absolutely.
At 4:45.
All right, I'm going to give you a quiz. What happens if you don't appear?
Then you issue a default and a guilty plea, and that's what happens.
Exactly.
Okay, did I save you some
Perfectly.
time, right?
You did.
All right.
Thank you.
Do I need a yellow piece of paper?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you for listening.
To all 5 before me. Thanks for working 2 jobs. Seriously?
Yeah.
Damn.
This is just a part-time job.
I know he is, right?
April 11th at 4:45.
And I can bring my boy.
All right.
Okay. All right. See you, everybody.
Thank you. All right. It's 5:27. Nobody else is in the courtroom. Courtroom is adjourned until 6 o'clock. Do you want to go talk about anything?
I have a couple of things, 2 letters.
Okay. My pretrial conferences.
They are.
All right.
Really?
See this request certified mail for pretrial. Oh, is that, yeah, it's her. Yeah. Okay, good. This one's rescheduled. This is what you're telling me about, yeah, okay.
The status of Johnson, what happened with that one, or the alphabetical?
Oh, it's right here.
good. Yeah. Don't want to talk about it. Did he not appear on it? Black sheep.
Okay, approved all the pretrial conferences.
Great, thank you.
Okay, do you have anything else? We were waiting for 6 o'clock.
Right, there's a 6 o'clock hearing. I gave you it's just an indigency if he appears.
Okay,
He's in a wheelchair.
that's Mr. Bowders.
Yeah.
Okay, we have an indigency hearing scheduled for 6 o'clock, so I'll ask you to stick around until then.
Great.
This one, I don't know, I've never had one like this, and yeah, we talked about that.
Okay, so for Town of Pleasant Springs,
I mean, do we want to hold it then, just to make sure? I mean, I think they just did this today, because it was the deadline, and they had it for 2 months, and again,
but they're
it's-
moving to dismiss.
Right, but they're holding it, sounds like, for what I'm taking, the person has a week to provide proof.
Well,
And,
hold it, let's hold it
Okay,
until,
that's
let's
okay.
hold it for 2 weeks.
That's what the other two have.
We're gonna go through the pretrial conferences until 6 o'clock. I always should give people about 10 minutes leeway, so. All right. Saima Azad, default judgment. Craig Batts, default judgment on both citations. Ryan Bond, BAUGHN, default judgment. Gentry Beaker, default judgment. Lee Brack, default judgment on both citations. Christopher Brown, default judgment on both citations. David Abinell, default judgment on both citations. Tricia Clark, default judgments. Chanel Coleman, default judgment on both citations. Catherine Dinwiddie, default judgment on all 3 citations. Okay, Edge has been rescheduled. Christina Fuller, default judgment. Jacqueline Glynn, default judgment. Kyler Goglio is a bond forfeiture on 1. We'll forfeit the bond on the operating motor vehicle without insurance, and then default him on the operating under suspension. Alicia Gritton, default judgment. To have restitution.
They're Walmart.
Okay.
There's-
I will not find any I will not order any restitution for that. James Hammis, default judgment. Todd Herr, default judgment. Darren Hill, default judgment. Kiara Hill, default judgment. Adam Johnston, bond forfeiture. Kellison was rescheduled. Jenna Larson is a default judgment. Troy Lexinger is a default judgment. Michael Lundy is a bond forfeiture. Logan Marshall is a default judgment on both citations. Maya O'Rourke is a bond forfeiture. Ryan Petrovich is a bond forfeiture. James Reese is a bond forfeiture. Robert Schenk is a bond forfeiture. Deanna Selvag is a bond forfeiture. Megan Sullivan is a default judgment. Swenby has been rescheduled. Tarrant is a default judgment. Vike, or VK, Vike, I think, is a default judgment. Moriah Vike is a default judgment. Lucas Vike was a default judgment. Gary Wolter is a default judgment. Matthew Wong is a bond forfeiture. Timothy Zaring Roach is a default judgment on both citations. Okay. Let's get rid of that. Oh, and yeah, no wonder everything was rescheduled. Did you put the statute books back there?
I did, they're in the drawer.
Oh, in the drawer.
top drawer is the statute. No.
I have some time to just do some research. I'll
Great.
answer some general questions I have while we're waiting. Okay. Call the case of City of Stoughton versus Richard Bouders. It's noted why it was an indigency hearing today at 6 o'clock. I'll note for the record that 6:10, Mr. Bouders is not here. His motion for indigency is denied. However, I'll make the finding that if he files again and schedules again, I will be willing to listen to his indigency hearing, but he needs to appear. I'll note that it now is 6:10, no appearances, and that's my order, so ordered. Anything else? Anything else from the city? All right, thank you, it's nice meeting you.
Thank you,
And
you
then, thanks for waiting around. I just always want to make sure that the city's present if there's
Oh,
an
yeah,
indigency
absolutely.
hearing, so. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much.